Hey guys, Steve here, and last time we completed a run of Pokemon Blue with only a Vileplume. This run is going to be Kabuto. Yes, that's right, everyone's favorite dark meme lord. Kabuto is an interesting Pokemon, also made famous from the Twitch Plays Pokemon sensation. I'm very interested to see the results of this run, as you guys have already known, about 2 weeks ago I did an Omanyte run and it did fairly well, so I'm told that Kabuto is better. So we'll just have to wait and see about that. The rules are going to be the same as they always are. They'll be located in the description section of the video, or pause the screen if you'd like to see them. All 3 Easter eggs were located in the last video. This video will have 3. Here are the comments from the last video that found Easter eggs. I am writing this script after the run. Please try and guess in the comment section what parts you think will be the hardest. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on future videos. If you want to help this channel grow, please comment Praise the Dark Lord for the YouTube algorithm. Or if you're an Omanyte guy, comment Helix is the one true god. First off, we're going to be grabbing our level 5 Kabuto and replacing Squirtle with the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to make sure that Champ has a Venusaur. Venusaur is obviously the most difficult starter to go against, for the same reasons that it was difficult for Omanyte. We have a 4 times weakness to grass, and Venusaur has 3 very strong grass moves. I give it the nickname Dark Lord because, you know, it is the Dark Lord. I set Game Hook to give Kabuto perfect DVs before starting. The first champ battle is a rather easy one because we have Scratch and a pretty decent attack stat, while Bulbasaur has Tackle and we have a resistance to Tackle, so therefore the battle is very easy. Now we run into big issues that we have with Kabuto, as all it has is Scratch and Harden until level 34. This is normally not too big of an issue because, well, you get Kabuto at level 30. But starting with Kabuto at level 5 really means that we're not going to have a very diverse moveset. More importantly though, it means that we can only defeat Brock with our limited 35 PP of Scratch. And as you guys have probably known from seeing some of our previous Pokemon here on the channel and watching other Poke YouTubers, that, well, you need to be a pretty high level to do that. So what level do we need to be? Well, our first attempt is going to be at level 13. At level 13, our one Scratch manages to do 2 damage, and then it uses Defense Curl, causing the rest of our Scratches to do 1 damage apiece. And this takes forever to take out the first Geodude. Luckily, thanks to editing, you don't have to watch all of that at real time like I did. Now, as you can probably guess, 11 PP for Scratch is not going to be enough for Onix. And quite frankly, even if I had used all of my Hardens, I still would not be able to defeat Onix. So, this is not really going to go well, and I'm just going to speed it up to our final demise. Now, thanks to Scott's thoughts and his information about damage rounding, I don't even bother with level 14. I wait until about level 15 to get the next attempt in. At level 15, my first Scratch managed to do 3 damage, which is quite the improvement. But, I mean, with a Pokemon with 33 HP and that can increase its defense, it's not going to be enough, and it still takes an awful lot of PP to get through Geodude. Onix, on the other hand, 11 PP is still not enough to get through Onix, and now we're going to run out of Scratches again, and we have to rely on using all of our Hardens. However, this time I'm able to get off all of the Hardens, but unfortunately I do take some damage in the meantime, causing me to lose. On the next attempt, however, I am able to get through Geodude with 16 Scratches to spare. This is mostly due to some better critical hit luck, and honestly, Geodude and Onix aren't going to defeat me on their own with only Tackle, so really this is down to me and how much damage I can deal. However, 16 Scratches is just not enough, as now I have to revert to using all of my Hardens before I'm able to then switch over to using Struggle to defeat the Onix. But eventually, I do get through and I get to beat the Onix. Now, I'm sure you guys know that here at the channel, I'm a very big proponent of the Helix fossil. And as you could probably imagine, it was a very difficult decision when I had to run into the fossil section at Mount Moon. Now, because this is the Kabuto run, I have to make the decision. And the decision is not an easy one. As you probably have guessed, I have chosen the Dome fossil. But as I chose the Dome fossil, I did hear a strange sound, and I made my way toward that sound. It was coming from the Helix fossil. It was saying, "Please like, subscribe, and comment. Praise the Dark Lord." It sounds like kind of odd logic, but I do need to make my way towards Champ 2. At Champ 2, you finally get to see one of the benefits of being Rock type. And that benefit of being Rock type is that we resist normal moves, and the normal moves just do not do much damage, and we're even able to get through Pidgeotto without taking much damage at all. Even Rattata doesn't do a whole lot. But Bulbasaur's not the same, as it has Vine Whip. Now, for the same damage rounding reason I leveled up to 15 for Brock, I'm also going to level up to 20 for Champ 2, thinking that it's going to be my best shot. Now, on this next attempt, things go a little bit better, as our attacks do in fact do a few more damage apiece. But, unfortunately, it's not enough to make the KO go to 3 hits. But you know, well, Abra is Abra, and this time I learned that I can set up all of my Hardens, and even though I can only badge boost my attack stat, that's all that really mattered. In the end, it doesn't matter as Vine Whip takes us out once again. But on the next attempt, Bulbasaur decides not to use Vine Whip and goes with a Tackle, allowing us to get the second attack in for the victory. Now, if you watched my Ammonite video, you would probably think that Misty is next. But Kabuto has even lower HP stat than Ammonite does, and therefore the bide strategy won't even work. But thankfully, because we have a higher attack stat, that means the Oddish Trainer can actually be defeated with Scratch. We go into this battle at level 23, and our Scratch does a little bit more than half, which is pretty good, but unfortunately 2 Absorbs puts us in pretty bad shape as we go into Pidgey. Because of that damage range I had gotten on that Oddish, I really want to be able to 2-shot the next Oddish, so I make sure to set up all of my Hardens on Pidgey to hopefully have enough attack to 1-shot the next Oddish. Then I do 1-shot the Oddish, and that's fantastic. Now, with the Oddish Trainer defeated, the world is our oyster. We can go to Bill's house, we can then get our SSN ticket, head over to the SSN, there are no issues with grass Pokemon, we go ahead and pick up Body Slam, it's all great. But then we run into Champ 3, and once again we have to deal with that ugly Ivysaur. But thankfully, just like all Pokemon that learn Body Slam, at this point in the game, it's a very useful move. Pidgeotto gets taken out lickety-split, and then Harden can be used on Eradicate to boost our attack stats so we can go through the rest of the team with relative ease. Then Kadabra gets 1-shot with Body Slam. Ivysaur then also gets 1-shot with Body Slam. Now usually at this point of the game, I would then head over to Surge, but we skip Misty, so I need to head back. And skipping Misty was very important. Because we're a Rock type, she's always going to use a Water move, therefore doing massive damage to us, meaning Scratch wasn't going to cut it and we needed to come back with Body Slam. Knowing just how much damage those Water moves had done to Ammonite, I made sure to spare no expense and try and set up with Harden before then switching over to Body Slam and one-shotting Staryu. And for Starmie, she starts off with an X-Defend, meaning that our damage is going to be cut in half, making our Body Slam take 3 hits to finish her off. Now with Misty finally defeated, we can head back to Vermilion and take on Surge. I already know this fight is going to be no pushover because Rock does not resist electric moves, but we are weak to them as you can tell at the bottom of the screen. Surge then starts off with Voltorb, who promptly goes down to a Body Slam, or so I thought, and then the next one takes it out and Pikachu does go down to a single Body Slam. Raichu then outspeeds and hits us with a Thunder Shock as our Body Slam does about half and the next Thunder Shock then finishes us off. On the next attempt, Surge then gifts us with an X speed and we hit it with a Body Slam, and then he uses a Thunderbolt and takes us out in 1 hit. But on the next attempt, Surge then starts off with X speed once again as our Body Slam does half and then paralyzes, allowing us to go first on the next turn and finishing him off. Now, as we make it through Mount Moon, it's time to go ahead and show off some of the changes that I've made since the last video. The first change is under the moveset section of the overlay, where I then switch out the move type with move icons, and I think it looks very nice. Next up, at the bottom of the screen, I made the move type icons a little bit bigger to fit up the square, and then I made the type effectiveness numbers just a little bit see-through to make them a little bit more visible. Then you'll probably have noticed the random numbers 1 through 10 to the right of the stats in the bottom left. Those numbers are actually how many vitamins we're capable of taking before we reach the limit. Then, also under the stat section, the badges now spin. It's just a simple GIF, but it looks very, very cool. Then, best for last, under the moveset section, under power, you're able to see the power dynamically changes based on the weaknesses of our opponents, therefore allowing me to make almost the best choice each and every time. Now, before you give me credit for making all of these amazing changes, I don't want to take credit for any of it, as Scott's Thoughts and I have been working on it for quite some time, and Scott's Thoughts was able to perfect the code and help me implement it. It's all thanks to Scott. Honestly, he was instrumental in setting up just about every bit of my overlay. Even the stuff that I worked on, it was all thanks to him having the starting code that I was able to work off to begin with. Now, I'm sure you guys have already heard of Scott's Thoughts because he's one of the pioneers of the solo Pokemon challenge, but if you haven't already heard of him, make sure to go check out his channel, which will be linked in the description below. With all that settled, we finally arrived to the Celadon Mart where I can buy 3 Carbos, and now as I'm using them, make sure to take a look at the bottom left hand corner of the screen where you can see the number dropping down from 7 to 4. With our newly acquired Ice Beam, I think it's a good idea that we should consider taking on Erica next. Now, for Erica, she starts out with the Victory Bell, and we go with Ice Beam. We outspeed, but we only do about half damage, and she fights back with a Razor Leaf that ends up taking us out. Seeing how poorly that battle went, I decided to work my way out of the gym, but unfortunately I go down and to the right, causing myself to battle the next trainer on her right. Now, as you can probably imagine, I wouldn't be mentioning this battle if things didn't go wrong. The Weeping Bell is not an issue because of a freeze. Gloom, however, is able to hit us with a massive absorb before being taken out with the next Ice Beam. Then, Ivysaur hits us with a Vine Whip and takes us out. Now, since we can't defeat Erica, there's only one other place left to go, so we head over to Pokemon Tower to go ahead and face Champ 4. Now, let's go ahead and see just how good Champ 4 is going to do. We hit Pidgeotto with an Ice Beam before taking any sort of sand attack. Gyarados, on the other hand, hits us with a Hydro Pump before being taken out with another Body Slam. Ralph then goes down to a Bubble Beam as we go ahead and take out Kadabra with a Body Slam. This then takes us to Ivysaur, and Ivysaur tanks an Ice Beam as we get hit with only a Leech Seed before being taken out with the next Ice Beam. Normally I would skip ahead to Koga, but unfortunately one of the Chandlers here in the Pokemon Tower actually gave me kind of a struggle, so let's go ahead and take a look at that battle. Now, it only has one Gas Leap, and as you can see, Bubble Beam is our strongest move, and it does almost half. But then, we get confused, and Nightshade does quite a bit of damage as we keep hitting ourselves and almost lose. Now, typically, before Koga, his trainers usually give me some sort of an issue between the 3 Drowsy Trainer or the Drowsy Hypno guy, but today, we have a pretty decent attack stat and relatively okay speed, and we can get through them with not too much difficulty. Koga then starts off with his usual coughing, which allows us to use Surf, and Surf does a little bit more than halving, allowing us to finish it off and taking us to Muck. Muck is quite a bit bulkier on defense than coughing is. Surf only does about a fourth, as the next Surf then crits and allows us to take out Muck with only 3 attacks. The next coughing is just as easy as the first, as 2 Surfs is easily able to take care of it. Wheezing, on the other hand, is able to really tank some Surfs quite well, and I don't really think I'm going to be able to finish off Wheezing, and it takes me out with a self-destruct. Now, the next attempt goes quite a bit worse as we have 3, I kid you not, 3 smoke screens, and we miss the rest of our Surfs, allowing us to have to switch to Body Slam, which of course misses and we get taken out by Poison. On the following attempt, things go a little bit smoother as we start off with a crit, allowing us to do more damage, but Poison just catches up with us and finishes us off. The next attempt doesn't go any better than any of the previous attempts, and he's able to finish us off pretty quick. On this next attempt, though, I do get the bright idea to start out with 3 Hardens throughout this battle. That way, I can go into the Wheezing and hopefully tank a self-destruct, and that's exactly what happens, because the first hit is a self-destruct and we survive. Now, thanks to Kabuto being a water type, we don't actually have to go to Erica or Champ 5 yet. We can actually go south and head over to Cinnabar Island, in which we can go ahead and take care of the Pokemon Mansion in Blaine next. Now, I don't really know why I'm showing this battle, because honestly, we have a 4 times resistance to fire moves, and a 2 times resistance to normal moves, which is everything that Blank can use, and we're pretty decently fast. Even though we don't have a high special like Ammonite, it's still no issue to take out Arcanine, even without badge boosts. Quite frankly, I don't actually think we're going to be able to beat Erica just yet, so I'm actually going to head over to Silph Co and take on Champ 5 next. As the battle begins, you can probably tell that we're very close to a level up. In fact, we're only 224 XP, so when we finish off Pidgeot, we do level up. But the next Pokemon is Gyarados, and that's too much of an issue for us. In fact, I accidentally use Harden, and I can tell that we're gonna lose immediately. And then I go ahead and fight one of the trainers that's standing outside of the room, so I can go ahead and level up before taking on the next attempt. This time on the Pidgeot, I make sure to start up by setting up with some Hardens, allowing me to increase all of my stats going further throughout the rest of the battle. But unfortunately, during this setup, I am hit with 1 sand attack, so hopefully that won't affect the rest of the battle. So I take on Pidgeot with a Body Slam and finish it off. Now, for the Gyarados, we still aren't able to take it out with a Body Slam, meaning that our second Body Slam is going to finish it off, taking us to Growlithe, which is going to be an easy Surf. Course, and then for Alakazam it's gonna be a Body Slam, but now we're gonna level up. Our Blizzard does just a little bit more than half as Vine Whip takes us out. On the next attempt, I make sure to bite the bullet and use a rare candy at the start of the battle, meaning that we're going to arrive at Venusaur without leveling up. This means that we're going to outspeed Venusaur and hit it with a Blizzard for the win, and causing us to level up and having to abandon Leer. Now, seeing that we just recently leveled up, I decide that we're going to go ahead and take on Sabrina next, as we're going to need to try and make sure we don't level up before the Alakazam. Sabrina, as always, starts off with a Kadabra, in which we're able to outspeed and finish off with a Body Slam, allowing us to go over to Mr. Mime and set up with all of our Hardens first. Now, as we're set up, we're able to then take it out with a few Body Slams. Venomoth is next, and it goes down to a single Body Slam as well. This then takes us to Alakazam, in which we don't level up and outspeed and finish it off with a Body Slam. Now's about the time that I noticed that we're actually starting to run out of the ability to take out vitamins, so I head over to the Celadon Mart and make sure to pick up 3 protein and 2 calcium. Once again, on the overlay, you're going to be able to follow as the attack stat and special stat go up and the remaining vitamins goes down. Now guess what happens next? I pull a J-Rose and I forget about Erica for the first time on the channel. Erica starts out with the Victory Bell as usual, and we have no problems taking out with the Blizzard. And then Tangela follows with another Blizzard, and surprisingly Vileplume goes down to another Blizzard as well. Now where were we? Oh right, we were heading over to Giovanni. Now you probably know where this is going if you've seen my Ammonite video already. Now you probably already know that this Rhyhorn has probably got one of the worst movesets in the entire game. Stomp, Tail Whip, Fury Attack, and Horn Drill are just such a terrible moveset. We're able to get all 6 of our Hardens set up and get ready to sweep the team with a Surf. So, Dugtrio goes down with a Body Slam, then Nidoqueen goes down to a Surf, then Nidoking also goes down to a Surf, followed by his last Pokemon in Rhydon next. Now, Champ 6 is next, and I know this battle is going to be extremely difficult. Not because the battle itself is difficult, but because we need to know exactly when we're going to level up next. We're most likely going to level up too early, and then Venusaur is just going to be able to take us out in one hit, as our Blizzard probably doesn't take it out. Anyways, Champ 6 then starts off with his Pidgeot, which then we're easily able to go ahead and set up all of our Hardens because Pidgeot is only going to use Agility, because Quick Attack, Whirlwind, and Wing Attack are all being resisted by our Rock type. Then, for Rhyhorn, we're easily going to be able to take it out with a Surf. Then, for Gyarados, we're going to go ahead and hit it with 2 Body Slams before then switching over to Growlithe, which should be an easy Surf. Alakazam is then able to be taken out with a Body Slam, and we accidentally level up too early, and Venusaur then takes us out with a Vine Whip. Then, on the next attempt, Gyarados is able to take us out with a critical hit Hydro Pump. Ironically, on the next attempt, Gyarados does exactly the same thing. On the next attempt, however, all of the stars align and we're finally able to make it to Venusaur without leveling up and take it out with our first Blizzard. Now, despite all of the struggles in this run, We are only level 54 going into Lorelei, which does stand pretty good of a chance of being able to beat the league at a pretty low level, especially compared to Ammonite. But we haven't used our rare candies just yet, so we're probably going to use them at some point during the league. But let's go ahead and take a look at how Lorelei is gonna go without using our rare candies first. Alright, now it's time to take on Lorelei, and she sends out Dugong. Dugong is a very interesting battle. Once again, we have a Pokemon that only knows normal and ice moves, which we resist, causing her to only use rest, allowing us to set up all 6 of our Hardens. Now we're able to just use Body Slams to take it out and take ourselves to the Cloyster. Cloyster again is very defensively tough, but we can get through it using some Body Slams after she uses some Super Potions. Now Slowbro is a little bit differently. It's gonna use Water Gun and Withdraw because it thinks we're a rock type, so we can just go ahead and Body Slam it down. Followed by the Jinx, which is also a one-shot, and now it takes us to Lapras, who's gonna use Hydro Pump and take us out. Well, I'm thinking that you guys are probably noticing a trend by now with both Ammonite and Kabuto, that any Pokemon that uses Hydro Pump is immediately going to use Hydro Pump and pretty much take us out every time. On the next attempt, I make sure to start off with a rare candy. This hopefully will allow us to not level up before we get to Lapras. Then we're going to go ahead and set up with our 6 Hardens to make sure that we're perfectly powered up to go ahead and take down Dugong with some Body Slams. Then, for Cloyster, I switch over to Surf, remembering that it has such weak special. Now, all we have to do is survive this clamp, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to Slowbro. But it turns out Cloyster has different plans, as we never actually managed to survive. On the next attempt, things don't go as piss poor, and we go ahead and attack Lapras with a Body Slam, which does a little bit less than half thanks to a crit. And then the following Body Slam does a little bit less than half as well. But it paralyzes Lapras, and then we get through with the next Body Slam. This then takes us to the Black Belt next, and we make sure to heal before starting this battle, but unfortunately I do forget to start with an Elixir. The battle with the Black Belt I predict to be easy, so I go ahead and use Surf on Onix. Then for Hitmonchan I then use another Surf and almost take it out. But the next Surf is able to take it out just as well. Then for Hitmonlee, I make sure to use another Surf and it almost takes it out, as a Jump Kick then does massive damage to us and we take it out with the following Surf. The next Onix is then easily taken out with another Surf. Then for the Machamp, we go ahead and use Surf, and it does a little bit less than half, as it uses Focus Energy and gives us another turn to use a Surf. But then the next turn it uses Submission, and its terrible accuracy manages to pull through as it takes us out, leading me to my next attempt, in which I have to set up with my Hardens first. But once we set up with Harden, things go a little bit easier as we're able to take out Onix with Surf. Then Hitmonchan is taken out with Surf, followed by Hitmonlee being taken out with Surf, then Onix being taken out with Surf as well. Then the deciding moment comes up as Machamp then uses Focus Energy and we get through this battle. Boy, it always sucks though losing to that Black Belt, and to be fair, it was mostly some mental errors on my side deciding to skip the Harden setup. But I think we'll be just fine as we head over to Agatha next. Spoiler alert guys, but look at our moveset. Do you guys honestly think that we're going to be standing a chance to Agatha? Because I don't. There's so many strategies that we could do here, and I really don't know which one to go with. But at first, it looks like we're not even going to get through the first Gengar on our first attempt. Then, on the next attack, I go ahead and try and start with a Surf, but it appears to not be doing anywhere near the amount of damage I was hoping. Then she switches over to Golbat and allows us to try and set up just a wee bit, but then switches right back to Gengar and it takes us out with a Nightshade. On the next attempt, I still try and take out the Gengar first before setting up, as I think I have a better chance of doing it on either Golbat or Arbok, but unfortunately Gengar has different plans for us and takes us out really quick. On the next attempt, I try and set up some Hardens so I can outspeed the Gengar and do slightly more damage with my Surf, attempting to beat it quicker this time. But unfortunately a Confuse Ray and a hitting myself followed by Nightshade puts me at 11 HP for the following Golbat. Now, Blizzard does do massive damage and she swaps out to Haunter, allowing us to attempt Surf and take it out early, which we do, swapping back into the injured Golbat, allowing us to finish it off. And she throws in Nobody's Nightmare Arbok, but unfortunately with 11 HP there's not a lot of room for error in this one. But luckily for us, Arbok sucks. But now we have a chance as we've got 2 Harden setups followed by a Screech setup, allowing us to outspeed the Gengar and get 3 Surfs in, and luckily take out the final Gengar for the win. Now, I don't know if you guys knew this, but this next battle is actually the most difficult battle of the entire run, as we have literally nothing for this Gyarados. Unfortunately, the only plan I have now is to actually go for the Blizzard Freeze, and thankfully it does happen on our second attempt, allowing me to go ahead and set up all 6 of my Hardens before then taking out Gyarados and moving on to the Dragonair. Dragonair, I then take it out with a Body Slam. Then, for the next Dragonair, I attempt to take it out with a Body Slam, but it survives and finishes me off with a Dragon Rage. On the next attempt, we attempt to freeze Gyarados once again, and then we go ahead and fail twice. Now, let's go ahead and look at our other options. We can't use 2 Body Slams to take out Gyarados, so that's off the table. Both Surf and Blizzard can't finish off Gyarados in 2 hits, so that is also off the table. Then, we can't use a Harden first, as nothing will really change. We can't one-shot anything right afterwards. Luckily on this attempt, we get the freeze on Gyarados that we needed, but unfortunately I was too stupid to use Hardens. So now we're going into this blind, as we take out the first Dragonair with the Blizzard, but then the next Dragonair survives the Blizzard and we have to take it out with a Body Slam. This then takes us to Aerodactyl, and I accidentally use a Body Slam by holding A too long, but luckily Surf does the job and we finish it off. And now we have our final Blizzard for Dragonite, which doesn't finish it off, and then it lives and uses a Hyper Potion, followed by a Hyper Beam that then finishes us off. What, did you think we were going to get lucky enough to actually beat Lance in that attempt? No, no, no. I said Lance was the most difficult battle for a reason. He's the most difficult battle for sure. Luckily, on the next attempt, we finally get the freeze that we need, and I'm smart enough to use all of our Hardens to get us to the point where we can go ahead and take out Gyarados with a Body Slam, followed by the Dragonair with another Body Slam, and then for the next Dragonair, another Body Slam. Then Aerodactyl, I can go ahead and use Surf, and now I have 3 Blizzards for the Dragonite. But of course, the first Blizzard then gets us the win. I don't know how bad it was for you guys to watch that, but I gotta tell you, narrating that battle, I stuck my head in my hands because it was so bad. Watching myself not be able to actually strategize a battle just handcuffs me so hard, and I can't do anything about it. And foreshadowing for the future, but unfortunately, it doesn't get any better. Now, of course, if you guys can think of anything better, make sure to look at the moveset and tell me in the comment section down below. But as for this video, we're going to go ahead and roll on forward. As far as the champion is concerned, we should have the strategy for this. We just need to figure out exactly at what level we can go ahead and not level up before Venusaur. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first attempt and see how it goes. The champion then starts off with his Pidgeot, and we're going to go ahead and attempt to set up here as he doesn't really have a good move for us. As previously mentioned, he doesn't really have a move that we're not going to resist, but unfortunately he doesn't have a move that's neutral either, so he's just going to go ahead and use any of his flying attacks as we set up on Pidgeot. Blizzard then gets its work done, and we can go ahead and Body Slam Alakazam, taking us to Rhydon, in which we can go ahead and use Surf to take out Rhydon, taking us to Gyarados, in which we can go ahead and two-shot it with Body Slam, taking a Hydro Pump in return, finishing it off with a Body Slam, taking us to Arcanine, that we can finish off with Surf, but unfortunately we're going to level up and we have 1500 XP to spare. I then go ahead and use Blizzard, and he sets up with Solar Beam. But unfortunately our next Blizzard misses and he finishes us off with that Solar Beam. That's very funny, because in Ammonite there was no win scenario except for luck, and in this one we actually had stood a chance to win, but unfortunately we missed. That sucks. And on the next attempt, I hold A too long, and then I use a Surf on Venusaur's Mega Drain, then finishes me off. Then on the next attempt, Mega Drain then finishes us off from 2/3 HP. Then on the next attempt, we're going to go ahead and change things up as Hydro Pump then crits and takes us out. But don't you worry, on the next attempt, Venusaur is then going to take us out with another Mega Drain. So after some time, I figured, well, let's go ahead and change up the strategy. Things weren't working, let's go ahead and get rid of Body Slam for Mimic. The strategy here is to copy the Ammonite strategy and hopefully make it to Venusaur with full HP. But unfortunately, getting rid of Body Slam was a bad move, because now our new boss is the Alakazam. See, what sucks here is that there really aren't that many move choices that we can delete. We need Blizzard for both Pidgeot and for Venusaur. We need Surf because you can't get rid of Surf, and we need Harden because we won't stand a chance without it, leaving only Body Slam as the choice that we can get rid of. But now, we have to face Alakazam with its incredibly high special using only Surf and Blizzard, and that really isn't very effective. And our first turn is wasted because we have to get his Recover back, causing us to take loads of damage from Psybeams and Psychics. Now, we do heal more than we take when he uses Psybeam, but unfortunately for Psychic, he does a lot more damage, and this assumes that he's not going to crit. And more often than not, you would actually think the special drop would be irrelevant, or maybe the confusion on Psybeam would be irrelevant, but it happens more than you think. But after one more fail, we can finally then get over to the winning battle with the Venusaur, as we're finally just able to Blizzard it. It uses a Solar Beam, and we just Blizzard it again. Boy, that was rough. We finished the game at level 62 with 142 real time, 5 hours game time, and 43 resets. Oh boy, first impressions are not good. It is certainly not better than Ammonite, because Ammonite's strengths were its special stat, and Kabuto's strengths are its attack stat. But guess what we use most often? That's right, special moves. Now, before I put Kabuto down too many times, let's go ahead and see how the testing run will do. Maybe, just after some optimization, I can actually beat the Ammonite time. I just need to figure out the right strategy. But before that, let's go ahead and take a look at our creator shoutout. Today's creator shoutout is Hidden Jim. He does very similar runs to mine, but they're versus videos in Gen 2. Here's a short clip of one of his most recent videos that I absolutely loved.
Against Machamp, I hesitate a little bit because I'm worried. Return hits, but cross drop does massive damage, and it wasn't a critical. So we're down to 39 HP, and we have Onix left. But it should be all easy. Oh no, it survives. Earthquake hits and does like 10 damage. Poor Onix. That 45 base attack is just not helping. We get the cheeky dub against Bruno, but a little too close for comfort.
Now time to head over to our learning run. Now the first change that I'm going to make is that last time when we faced Brock, we had to waste off about 20 Hardens, and that just won't do. So this time we're actually going to waste off about 18 Hardens on a Metapod, so that way we get to struggle much quicker. As you can see, on this next Brock attempt, we actually enter the battle at 11 scratches, which seems to be the amount that we considerably enter every time. But anyways, back to the battle. We use off all of our Hardens except one, use off our last scratch, and now we're about half HP, so this time we're going to be testing out a bad luck scenario. And even with bad luck, we still make it through with 1 HP to spare, and I think that's going to be a lot more consistent this time around. The next thing I want to test out is what if we go to Misty instead of Champ 2 instead? And as you can see, I'm trying to set up with some Hardens. That way, we're going to be powered up and can hopefully take out the Starmie quickly. But unfortunately, we just take way too many water guns that do a lot of damage and don't even make it past the Staryu. On the very next attempt, I decide to see what will happen if I just use Scratch and no Hardens. And unfortunately, even though things go a little bit better, the Starmie takes us out with a water gun. Next up on our things to test, I wanted to see what is the lowest level we can actually beat the Oddish trainer at. And surprisingly, I was able to beat her first try with only using Scratch at our very low level of 23, which is the same as we were at on the first run. The next thing I wanted to test was what if we go to Misty right after Bill? And the thing is, we do a little bit better, but unfortunately, we just don't do enough damage with Scratch on Starmie, and we're just going to take the L. The next thing I wanted to test is what if I just use Harden on Weezing instead of attacking Weezing at all on Koga? And the thing is, things go very well, as I tried this out a few times and it worked every single time. I made it to Weezing. The next thing I wanted to test out is what is the exact minimum level that it will take for me to pass Champ 6. It's certainly not level 50, it's not level 51, but as you can see here, it's level 52. After that, we can just Blizzard the Venusaur no problem at all. Next up is to see how the Lorelei battle will go if we don't do any battles from here and if we were to rare candy up to level 52 for the Champ 6 battle. It appears that we're going to level up on the Jinx, so we're gonna need to use another rare candy. On the next attempt, after that rare candy, we don't level up and we can make it to Lapras with all of our badge boosts intact. Even though it's not an easy battle, we still win. The next thing to test is to see how Agatha is gonna go. Do we need to change up our moveset? Do we need to change up our strategy? Do we need to level up more? Let's just see how it goes. On our first attempt here, we get through the first Gengar without too much issue, and the Golbat decides to cooperate as our Blizzard does massive damage and she just uses a Super Potion. Now for the Haunter, we're going to go ahead and take it out with 3 Surfs. I wish our Surf would do just a bit more, but that's fine. Arbok, it's going to be simple. We're going to go ahead and badge boost on Arbok because Arbok can't really do much on us. And because we're not going to level up, we're going to go into Gengar and outspeed it, allowing us to go ahead and take it out with just a few Surfs. So after this attempt, I think we just got pretty unlucky for the last Agatha battle because this one went pretty swimmingly. She actually used some pretty decent moves for us, and the only thing that really didn't get us is that we didn't get confused. Now for Lance, nothing is really going to change. We're just going to have to YOLO the Gyarados. So let's go ahead and move on to the champion. What level do we need to be so we don't level up before the Venusaur? On this attempt specifically, we did use 2 rare candies, and as you can see, we level up right on the Arcanine. Now, from the last attempt, I saw it was going to take 2300 experience before we're not going to level up. So I go ahead and use 5 rare candies right off the bat before testing our next attempt. This attempt goes pretty well, as everything goes pretty consistently, but unfortunately we do level up once again on the Arcanine and we need 452 experience. Now on the next attempt, I go ahead and take out the Arcanine, and this time we still level up and need 62 experience, and I leave in the Venusaur footage so you can see that we're not doing much damage and the Venusaur's weakest attack, Mega Drain, is still able to take us out. Now that we have the level figured out, let's go ahead and take a look at just how this battle should play out. We're going to go ahead and set up all 6 of our Hardens, and then we're going to go ahead and take out the Pidgeot with a Blizzard. Then, for Alakazam, we should outspeed and take it out with a Body Slam. For Rhydon, then we use a Surf. Now, for the Gyarados, things are a little tricky as we're going to have to use 2 Body Slams and survive a Hydro Pump. Then, for Arcanine, as you can tell, just 1 single Surf. And without leveling up, you're going to go ahead and see that we're going to outspeed and take out Venusaur with a Blizzard. No issues whatsoever. In fact, outside of a Gyarados crit, this should be one of the most easiest and consistent battles of the run. Because this run was actually a little bit confusing, I made sure to write down every change that I made. And let's go ahead and get started on the next run. First thing, we're going to go ahead and head over to Professor Oak and go ahead and grab our Kabuto. And we're obviously gonna name it Dark Lord once again, because it is still the Dark Lord. The first battle with Champ is just as easy as it always was, as we once again only need to use Scratch, and it doesn't take long before we take out Bulbasaur. After doing all of that training, I make sure to waste off 18 of our Hardens before then starting the Brock battle, in which we're just going to go ahead and spam Scratch on Geodude until it finally goes down. As for the Onix, we're just going to go ahead and spam the rest of our scratches, and we actually have 16 scratches this time. So we're going to go ahead and use Harden anytime he uses Bide, and we're going to use Scratch anytime he's not using Bide. And this eventually whittles down his Onix until we can finally take it out with surprisingly just Scratch. We don't even need to use Struggle. Now, one of the things that I wrote down is that we want to try and be level 30 by the time we reach Surge. And to do this, I need to battle just about every trainer that I possibly can that's quick to defeat, and then also use Water Gun on any Geodudes that I can in Mount Moon. Now, with all of that achieved, at level 30, I can actually survive a Thunderbolt from Raichu, so that's a worst case scenario, and we need to be a few levels higher in the late game, so why not get it in the early game if I can. Now, the strategy for Champ 2 is about the same. We're just going to go ahead and use Scratch on Pidgeotto and pray that we do not get hit by a Sand Attack. We do get hit by 2 sand attacks, and now we're going to go ahead and set up on the Abra and use all 6 Hardens. This will of course also boost our attack thanks to the badge boost glitch, and now we'll hopefully be able to one-shot the rest of his team. Rattata, however, does not want to cooperate and uses a few Hyper Fangs before we finally go ahead and get the hit. Hopefully with that all taken care of, we can 2-shot the Bulbasaur. Unfortunately, we do a little less than half and we have to luck out and not get hit by a Vine Whip. Now, next up is the Oddish last, and we're 3 levels higher than we did last time. So I scratch through the Oddish and work our way to Pidgey. For some reason, I use a Harden and end up taking a Sand attack. I go ahead and finish off Pidgey, and now the next Oddish I miss the scratch. Then the next one hits, and Oddish does massive damage, and when I miss that next scratch, I know it's over. Now, I can tell you guys are probably thinking, Steve, you just tested this out. What are you doing? And to that, I reply, I don't know. I really don't know. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and battle this again. On the next attempt, I don't deviate and I just use Scratch. Even a critical hit absorb is not going to be enough to stop this freight train that is Kabuto with testing. And we're going to go ahead and take out Oddish and move on. The next important battle is the champ battle in the SS hand, and with Body Slam, I don't foresee this going well for him. He starts off with a Pidgeotto, and we're going to go ahead and just use Body Slam first after moving around my moves. It takes out Pidgeotto in 1 hit, takes out Raticate in 1 hit, Kadabra in 1 hit, and now just Ivysaur, and it survives but gets fully paralyzed. I have no idea if a Vine Whip would have taken us out, but sometimes it's better just to be lucky than it is good. Now, Misty is next, and she starts out with Staryu, and we go ahead and take it out with a Body Slam. Followed by Starmie, which is a 2-hit with Body Slam, and thanks to a paralyzation, we're gonna go ahead and get the hit before she even gets to use a second attempt. Now, we're gonna make it to Surge at level 30 as we expected, so hopefully this battle will go just as planned. At this significantly higher level, Voltorb is gonna be a 1-shot with Body Slam, followed by Pikachu as a 1-shot with Body Slam, and Raichu, well, Thunderbolt takes us out. Turns out, no matter how much planning you do, stupidity can still shine through. I make sure to take a potion and start this battle once again. Raichu then decides to cooperate as it uses an X-Speed, and even a critical hit Thundershock does not stop us. Deciding to plan ahead from our previous run, I go ahead and only take 2 Carbos and 1 Protein this time. Make sure to pay attention to the bottom left, as I can't stop staring at it whenever I use vitamins because it is just so cool. Next is the typically easy Champ 4 battle, which he starts out with Pidgeotto, we take a Sand attack, and then finish off Pidgeotto. Up next is Gyarados, in which we miss our first Body Slam, but luckily the next 2 Body Slams take it out before the Hydro Pump then takes us out. Then we move forward to Growlithe, as a Bubble Beam is then able to take it out no problems whatsoever, followed by Kadabra, in which we outspeed and take it out with Body Slam. Then, for Ivysaur, I misclick and use Body Slam instead of Bubble Beam, but luckily I'm not punished as it takes it out, and it wouldn't be an exciting video if we didn't go against this Chandler and have an interesting battle, as Bubble Beam then takes Ghastly down to half, as the first lick is then able to paralyze us and put us in bad shape. Luckily, the next Bubble Beam is then able to finish it off, but unfortunately there is a second Ghastly, and it's able to outspeed with a Nightshade, as our Bubble Beam then hits, and the next attack is another Nightshade, putting us in critical condition as our Bubble Beam then finishes it off. But no, Koga is not next, as we have a problem with the Drowsy Hypno guy, because we get hit by a Psychic off of the Drowsy. Then we're at half HP as the Hypno hits us with a Headbutt, followed by a Confusion, leaving us at 5. Which is so much closer than it needed to be. As for Koga, I make sure to heal up and head back, as we're going to take out the Coughing with 2 Surfs, followed by the Muck, in which we're going to have to take it out with 3 Surfs, in an ironically the same battle as the first run, and then for Coughing, 2 more Surfs. Now it's time to implement our new strategy. I'm gonna go for Harden instead and just hopefully keep using Harden until we get hit by a self-destruct and to survive. And of course, Slash makes sure to interrupt the end of the battle. Now for the testing run, I could have tested out Erica or Champ 5, but why bother when Blaine is just so easy. Once again, Blaine starts off with Growlithe, and I don't even bother to set up with Harden, as we're just going to continue spamming Surf until we finally make it to his Arcanine, in which we're just going to spam Surf as usual, but luckily it gets a critical hit takedown, and then uses a useless Roar. Next up is the long-awaited Champ 5 battle, but this time I make sure to start off with a rare candy as I set up all of my Hardens before then taking Pidgeot out with a Blizzard. But we did take a Sand Attack, which causes us to miss our first Body Slam. But luckily, the next 2 Body Slams connect, and for Growlithe, Surf then connects as well, taking us to Alakazam. This is when things go a little sideways, as we continue to miss Body Slam over and over until we finally manage to hit and then take out Venusaur on the first attempt with Blizzard. Then, we're going to make our way to Sabrina and take out Kadabra with our first Body Slam, and then we're going to go ahead and set up on the Mr. Mime, as usual. Once fully set up, we're going to go ahead and take it down with 2 Body Slams. Then, followed by the Venomoth with another Body Slam, and the Alakazam with another Body Slam. Now, I probably didn't need to push off Erica this late in the game, but honestly, our 4 times weakness to Grass really is that scary, and I'm just going to go ahead and show this battle as it is a complete and utter landslide. Now, Giovanni is once again just about as easy as Blaine was, as we're not even going to need to set up our Hardens, and we're just going to go ahead and use Surf to take out all of his Pokemon. The next Pokemon to be taken out by the Onslaught is going to be Nidoqueen, then followed by Nidoking, which survives, but honestly we're not scared of any of its moves. Then Rhydon was never in doubt. This then leaves us about halfway into the next level, so I quickly fly over to the fighting dojo, fight a few trainers to get a level up, and then rare candy before the start of Champ 6. We're actually 1 level higher than the testing said we needed to be at this point of the game. So we're just going to go ahead and set up for free because it's only going to spam agility. Then, of course, Rhyhorn is going to go down to a Surf. Gyarados is going to get a free attack in as it takes 2 attacks to take out Gyarados, but luckily it only uses a potion. Then Growlithe is going to be an easy Surf, then followed by Alakazam, an easy Body Slam, followed by Venusaur, an easy Blizzard. Quite easy after all the setup. Now let's go ahead and take a moment here to just appreciate that we're only at 2 resets. I mean, did you guys look at the first run? We were at like 20 resets by the time we made it to the league the first time. So to have cut that by almost all of it is a pretty big accomplishment in itself. Now, from our testing, we learned that we're gonna have to use a rare candy before this battle. And now, Dugong is only going to use Rest, because its only move that's not being resisted is Rest. Now, for Cloyster, I'm gonna go ahead and spam Surf here, because its special stat is still significantly lower than its defense stat. It then delays the inevitable with a Super Potion, but don't worry, we take it out on the next attack. Slowbro literally cannot hurt us, as I'm gonna go ahead and spam some Surf and Body Slams to take it out. Jinx then goes down to the next Body Slam as well. We're gonna not level up and arrive to Lapras and take it out with some Body Slams without getting hit by any Hydro Pumps. Then for the Black Belt, I'm gonna go ahead and take what I learned from the first run and I'm gonna go ahead and set up on Onix. Then take it out with a Surf. Then the Hitmonchan goes down to a Surf, followed by the Hitmonlee going down to a Surf, and lastly the Onix going down to a Surf. I say lastly because the Machamp survives a Surf, but then goes down to the next one. Up next is the ever so scary Agatha, as we go ahead and try and set up just a little bit so I can outspeed the Gengar, but unfortunately everything just misses and Golbat then wipes away our setup. Then we find ourselves confused but manage to hit a Blizzard, allowing us to go into the next Gengar and go ahead and continue our setup to make sure that we outspeed this Gengar. And then after 3 Hardens, we're going to go ahead and attempt to then use Surf but never wake up. On the next attempt, she goes ahead and puts us to sleep and hits us with Dream Eater twice for the loss. On the next attempt, I go ahead and attempt to take out the Gengar as quickly as possible. The Super Potion then delays things quite a bit as our next Surf then takes out the Gengar. The Golbat is just a simple Blizzard to take it out. Then, for Haunter, we're going to go ahead and continue to use Surf to take it out before it puts us to sleep. But unfortunately, we go to sleep and now we're going to be facing the Arbok. It then continues to drop our defense as we finally eventually wake up and we're going to go ahead and hit it with a Surf. But it doesn't finish it off as it switches into Haunter, which goes down to the next Surf, followed by the next Arbok that goes down to Surf. Gengar then confuses us and we take ourselves out. On the next attempt, the Haunter then puts us to sleep and we're gonna go ahead and get taken out by a Nightshade. On the following attempt, the first Gengar then hits us with a Nightshade, we hit ourselves, and I just give up. On the next attempt, the Gengar hits us with back-to-back Nightshades for the loss. On the next attempt, the Gengar puts us to sleep and takes us out with the Dream Eater. On the very next attempt, the Gengar then puts us to sleep, confuses us, hits us with Dream Eater, then another Dream Eater, we wake up and then hit ourselves in confusion. On the following attempt, the Haunter then puts us to sleep and hits us with a Nightshade, followed by another Nightshade. On the next attempt, the Gengar puts us to sleep, hits us with a Nightshade, and then a Dream Eater. The next attempt is so embarrassing, I don't even want to bother telling you about it. On the next attempt, of course, Hypnosis and 2 Dream Eaters. Then, finally, as my patience grows thin, we finally get an attempt that seems pretty bad, but goes pretty well. As we go to sleep, she switches out for Golbat, we become confused, but we wake up, and then we go ahead and hit it with Blizzard. Then she uses a Super Potion, and we decide to hit ourselves twice. But then, finally, our Blizzard then connects and we take out Golbat. She then throws Gengar back out as it hits us with a Confuse Ray, but we fight through the confusion and hit her with a Surf. She uses a useless Dream Eater and we hit her with Surf. Twice! She confuses us once again and we take her out with Surf. Then, for Haunter, we go ahead and hit her with a Surf, followed by another Surf, as she continues to use a barrage of Dream Eaters. Arbok is, well, Arbok. Go ahead and hit it with a Body Slam, doing pretty decent damage, and then finish it with a Surf. Then, finally, the last Gengar, and we're only one Nightshade away from being taken out. Luckily, all she manages to use is Dream Eater and Toxic. Well, that one sucked, and we know this one's gonna suck because we have to fish for a Blizzard Freeze. We don't get the freeze, but luckily she misses as we get a critical hit. Then, for Body Slam, it doesn't finish it off and allows him to use a Hyper Potion as our next Blizzard then hits, and he misses another Hydro Pump, but then on the next Hydro Pump finishes us off. On the next attempt, our Blizzard then crits, he misses Hydro Pump, our Blizzard then crits again, he uses a Hyper Potion, our Blizzard then does normal damage, Hydro Pump hits us for massive damage, and then Hydro Pump finishes us off. These attempts are brutal, and with only a 1 in 10 chance to hit with a Blizzard Freeze, things aren't going to go very well for quite some time. We're just going to need to go ahead and keep on attempting until we finally get a freeze. On this next attempt, our Blizzard then crits, Hydro Pump then does normal damage, Blizzard hits, then Hydro Pump misses, Blizzard then finishes it off with a crit. I mean, it's great and all that we got past Gyarados, but I mean, we didn't get to set up, so now all Dragonair has to do is hit us with a Slam or a Dragon Rage or even a Hyper Beam, and we're probably going to be ended pretty quickly. Luckily, we make it to the second Dragonair, but the Dragon Rage then finishes us off. On the next attempt, we finally get the freeze, and now we get to finally set up and work our way to the Dragonair. Then we use Blizzard on the Dragonair and take it out, followed by the next Dragonair, a Blizzard, followed by Aerodactyl, which is a Surf, and then for Dragonite, we're just going to go ahead and Blizzard for the win. Well, I didn't expect to get 18 resets on the Elite Four, but you know, these kind of things happen. And they affected our time pretty greatly, and we're going to be going into the champion battle next. Of course, the champion then starts out with Pidgeot, and this is a great target to go ahead and get set up on, as now it doesn't have Sand Attack, and we're going to go ahead and get all 6 of our Hardens in, and then finish it off with a Blizzard. Then, for Alakazam, we're going to go ahead and outspeed and take it out with Body Slam. Then, for Rhydon, we're going to go ahead and take it out using a Surf. Then, for Gyarados, we're going to go ahead and use 2 Body Slams, and then Gyarados uses a critical hit Hydro Pump. Of course I didn't see that reset coming, but you know, we're going to go ahead and end off on a bang. On the next attempt, we're going to go ahead and hit it with a Body Slam, and then Hydro Pump doesn't take us out, in which we finish off Gyarados. Then, for Arcanine, it's going to be a simple Surf to take it out. Then, for the final Venusaur, we use a Blizzard, and it takes it out for the victory. We finish the game at level 67 with 123 real time, 455 game time, and 21 resets. Honestly, I was expecting better. After watching the Scott's Thoughts video on his fossil race, I was going to think that Kabuto was going to come here and just dominate. Unfortunately, unlike its evolved form in Kabutops, Kabuto does not learn Sword Stance, and this really affects its ability to sweep through the game. In the end, we actually ended up using pretty much the same moveset as we did for Ammonite. The only difference is that we had a very much lower special stat, and this causes our Blizzard and Surf to do significantly less damage. As far as the rankings are concerned, this has to be the worst Pokemon that I've ever played on the channel. Now, of course, some of the earlier videos I didn't get to do a testing run, and that caused them to have some pretty bad real times, and that's mostly because of user error. If I had the practice and the knowledge and the speed that I do now, I have no doubt that Butterfree would have performed better than it did. So, there's no other place to put it but behind Butterfree. This just so happens to be the last place on my rankings, but don't you worry, I'm sure I'll have some more Pokemon in the future that will rank below this. Usually I then pick the next Pokemon from the comments from my previous videos, but today I want to set up for a future video, so the next video is going to be Bellsprout. If you'd like a Pokemon to be done, make sure to comment on this or any of my other videos. If you have any suggestions for a challenge, ways to improve my strategy, maybe even a way to improve the quality of my videos, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. My channel is always improving, and every video I plan to bring you even better content. Keep the suggestions coming, and I look forward to bringing you another video. Hey guys, Steve here, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I have created a Patreon page. And now I'm going to have a video that runs at the end of my video every single time that's going to include all of my Patreons. So if you'd like to be featured on that video, make sure to become a member.